Everything starts with a dream. Hello, everybody. My name is Bishop Friesch, and I want to welcome you to My Life Through Music, where I talk about the songs that were either there at the moment or the words and lyrics accompany important memories, events, or people in my life. And this next song that does just that is Jukebox Hero by Foreigner, released in 1981. And the first thing I want to say about this song is that it rocks. It just rocks. And when you hear it, it just sounds like rock and roll. The beat, the guitars, everything involved in it, even the story is rock and roll. I mean, you have this guy who wanted to go to a concert. And when he gets there, he realizes that it's sold out and he can't get in. And so he's left there standing in the rain, as the song states, and he's bummed out, obviously, because it says his head is hanging low. And the next thing he hears is the roar of the crowd. And with all this going on, through all this noise and all these sounds, he hears this guitar screaming through it all. And at that point, it says, the song says, it just blew him away. And he becomes moved by this. Just like what music does for all of us. And that's why we love it so much. And like I said, he becomes moved by this. And the next day, he's moved so much that the very next day, the song says, he goes out to the secondhand store and he buys this old beat-up six-string guitar to learn how to play and to practice on. And he learns how to play it, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the rest is history. And there are a lot of different songs with this theme about somebody being inspired and wanting to become a star, and they go through all the things that they go through, and they finally, eventually, they make it to the top, and this is no different. But of all of those songs, this has got to be one of my favorites, along with another song that I mentioned way earlier in the videos by Bad Company. Shooting Star was the song that I mentioned. This is very similar, but this is a rockin' song. And so with that, in the song, you've got, what can you say? You've got the great guitar work. You've got the incredible solo, the guitar solo. You have synthesizers, which to me, up to this point, this is very early on in my music listening experience, I don't remember ever hearing synthesizers with rock and roll, at least to this point. And you have these perfect drum fills that just roll right into the chorus, and it just brings it to a peak. And you got this burst of music. And last but not least, you've got the incredible and unique sound of Lou Graham's voice, which in a group of voices, you can pick his voice out because it's that unique. It's that unique. And I have to tell you, the first time I heard this song had to be the summer that it was released, the summer that the song came out, because I remember it was very hot. It was very hot. And so here I was riding my bike, and I was coming back from the arcade. Yeah, man, the arcade where you had to put in a quarter and play the game, you know, like, what was it, Pac-Man, Defender, Frogger. Oh, so many games. But I usually went through money like that, you know, because I wasn't very good at the games. But I was coming back from the arcade, and I was riding my bike, and we had this desert that was across from where we lived. It was probably about a quarter of a mile by a quarter of a mile square, roughly. And on the far side of the desert was this plaza, and in this plaza you had, check this out, you had an A.J. Bayless store, a grocery store. I don't know if anybody remembers A.J. Bayless. And then on the other side, across the street from that, you had an Alpha Beta store, which I think was another grocery store, with a Skaggs next to it, which was a drugstore. And across from there, you had, believe it or not, get this, you had a store called Yellowfront. And what that was, it was primarily a sporting goods store. I remember that's where my dad used to get his hunting license and, put in for deer and elk and stuff like that. And anyways, tucked in within all of that was this little arcade. And I remember I was coming back from the arcade, I was riding my bike, and I just rode into my front yard, how boys do, they just lay their bikes down on the ground, no kickstand, nothing. You just let it fall and lay it down, and you just go into the front door, and that's what I did. And I went into my room. And at this point, I had won the war of the radio. I don't know how I did it, but the radio that my mom and I had been sharing and lugging back and forth from my room to her room was now permanently in my room. And I was so psyched about it, because when I did that, I started to listen to different music and check out different stations. And as I walked into my room, the radio was still on. I tried to leave it on, and I just turned it down just a little bit, but I wanted music going all the time in the room. And so I walked into the room, and Jukebox Hero was on. And it was at the part where they just finished the first chorus, and Lou Gramm says, "He'll come alive tonight." And then the song continues, and I was frozen. I'm listening to it, and I go in, obviously I turn it up so I can hear it, and I'm checking it out. And the reason why I was actually hearing this song, as I mentioned before, I had discovered another radio station, and the radio station was called 93.3 KDKB, and it played, rock and roll. And so this was another jump for me into, more musical frontiers. And so this was kind of like my initiation into modern rock and roll as it was in the early 80s. And so I listened to the rest of the song, and of course I loved it, and I was bummed out because it was over. But as I soon come to find out, that it didn't really matter, because 93.3 played that song so many times during that summer. During the day, during the night, before going to school, I would hear it. Coming home from school, I'd hear it. It was always on. And that's why it's so ingrained in me. And that's why it's part of my playlist, because I go back to that summer and I remember hearing it all the time, which was great because I loved the song anyways. I even remember hearing it one summer day. I went with my buddy and his dad. They took us to the lake, and we went on a fishing trip for just a day. And I remember driving up there. I remember driving down this dirt road, and the windows were down, and the dust was everywhere. I remember hearing Jukebox Hero on the radio as we were winding down these roads going down towards the river. And I remember just hearing it all the time. All the time I heard that song. But as I've listened to this song over the years, and I've come to appreciate it even more. And the reason why I do is because I hear and I see so many life lessons in that song, for me at least. For example, the guy in the beginning of the song not being able to, see the concert. And it got me thinking that being left out of something, whether it's a concert or a team or a sporting event or whatever event it is, being left out of something, whether it's intentional or unintentional, but being left out of something can be very motivational and very inspiring. And that was, I feel the case with this guy, who was motivated, inspired to go get a guitar and start something. And, the guy, he goes and gets a beat up 6-string, which to me tells me it starts with something. It all starts with something. For him, it was a guitar. You could go through anything in life, and I'll use sports, for example, because it's an easy analogy. It could start with, how an athlete will get a glove, or a baseball, or a basketball, or a soccer ball, football, whatever it is. It starts with something. Everything starts with something. And when we start something, it's not always easy. In fact, it's never easy. And you always have to start at the bottom. You always have to start at the bottom. You have to start at the beginning. Learn the fundamentals. And that's what this guy in this song had to do. He in the song it says he didn't know how to play it, but he taught himself how to play it. And I'm sure it wasn't easy, And, you just can't say, I want to be a rock star, and then the next day be standing on stage singing in front of thousands of people. It doesn't work that way. It never has, and it never will. There's hard work involved. You got to pay your dues. And that's what this guy did, But when you do make it, what do you have to do? You have to continue with the hard work. You can't get lazy, And if you notice in the song, it says, now he's got to keep rocking. He just can't stop. He's got to keep on rocking. That boy has got to stay on top. And that's what they're saying. They're saying you can't just get lazy and complacent and say, okay, I've made it. I've achieved it. But to stay there, you have to do those things that got you there, or continue to do those things that got you there, and you have to evolve. You have to evolve in the process, because in this ever-changing world, things change so fast now with technology and the way that information is given and found. I mean, you could find everything in the palm of your hand with your phone. So you have to evolve, or you're going to get left behind, or someone else is going to take that position. You're not going to be on top anymore. So you got to evolve. And those are just some of the few, little life lessons that I take from this song. But everything starts with a dream. It starts with a dream, and not only just music, but in everything. And not only must you have a dream, but you've got to believe in that dream too. You can't just have a dream and just be halfway in, halfway out, and think you're going to achieve it. You got to believe in that dream 100% and be always constantly working to achieve that dream. And one step further, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that you can actually achieve that dream. Because if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it. So it starts with you. You got to believe in yourself, that you can accomplish this goal, that you can accomplish this dream, you can make this dream come true. Every artist, musician, or band that I've talked about and will talk about in the future, moving forward, all started out with a dream. They had a dream, they worked hard, and they got to where they are because of all that work. And they believed in themselves. And that's what we have to do. No matter what it is, no matter how simple it is, no matter if you don't think it's important or not, whatever it is, you've got to believe in the dream, and you've got to believe that you can do it. And if you don't know what your dream is, keep contemplating it. Keep considering, keep thinking, keep researching, keep exploring, and when you find it, go after it. And that's what I tell my kids. I don't care what it is. If you have a dream, go after it. 100%. Not 95%, not 50%, 100%. And don't care what anybody else thinks. You can't do that. You can't do that. But go after it. Go after it. And who knows? The next jukebox hero could be you. And I'm not making a joke about that. I mean that. As always, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to spend a few minutes with you talking about music. And I'm going to put the link in the bottom like I do with all the songs, so you can go immediately and listen to it if you want to, or if you have it on your phone or have it on any other platform. I encourage you to go check it out. And when you do check it out, I want to also encourage you to turn it up. Not too loud. I say that again, not too loud. Don't damage your ears, but crank this up, because the louder the better. I mean, this is such a great song, and it's better listened to turned up. But again, don't hurt your ears, especially if you have headphones or earbuds. Be really careful. Don't damage your ears, because if you do, you can't listen to awesome music. So protect your ears, listen to it, rock out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.